Good evening. In compliance with Chapter 551 Open Meetings of the Texas Government Code, I call to order a special meeting of the Board of Trustees of the Austin Independent School District for Wednesday, March 22nd, 2023 at 6:02 p.m. A quorum of the board is physically present at the AISD Central Office to conduct this meeting. This meeting is streaming live on AISD TV and Apple TV. It's also being broadcast on cable channel 22 through Spectrum, Astound Broadband, and on channel 99 through AT&T Uverse. Closed captioning in English is available on these platforms for individuals who are deaf or hard of hearing. To our audience tuning in remotely and here in person, welcome and thank you for joining us. We will move to the approval of the agenda. Secretary Boswell, do you have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, having a motion by Secretary Boswell and a second by Trustee Zapata to approve the agenda. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. The motion is approved unanimously. Secretary Boswell, do you mind leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance and the pledge to the Texas flag?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Juro lealtad a la bandera de los Estados Unidos de América y a la república que representa una nación bajo Dios, indivisible, con libertad y justicia para todos. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Te honro, bandera de Texas. Te juro lealtad, Texas. Un estado bajo Dios, uno e indivisible.
Thank you. So tonight we'll have a discussion on the superintendent profile and process. Pending this discussion, the board is scheduled to vote on a final profile on Saturday, March 25th, which is a special meeting. So this is a little different than what we've done in the past. So there will be an opportunity for the public to call in on March 24th, which is Friday, from 7:45 a.m. to 3 p.m. to either sign up to speak in person or to record testimony. So I just want to make that clear again. The board is going to vote on this. The board is planning to vote on the superintendent profile, which is a list of characteristics that we're looking for in the superintendent and the openness of the process. On this Saturday at a board retreat, we're going to have that here at HQ. But because our staff doesn't work on Saturdays, if you want to do public comment for the Saturday meeting, you're going to have to call on Friday on the day before, which is March 24th, just like you would normally do. So you can call in and record your 1-minute comment or call in and sign up to come and speak in person. We're also going to have a public hearing at the first part of tomorrow's regular voting meeting for people to come and give comment as well on the superintendent search. So before we move into the open portion of tonight's meeting, the board will move into an executive session in order to consult with our attorney and discuss other issues that are not for the public, that legally we can't discuss in public regarding the process. So we will now recess the open meeting at 6:05 p.m. and move to executive session pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.074 and 551.071. Thank you. All right, we will now reconvene the open meeting at 8:26 p.m. So thank you. And tonight we are joined by our consultant, GR Recruiting, both in person and on Zoom. So welcome. GR Recruiting recently completed a series of community outreach sessions and a survey. As shared earlier, our meeting tonight is to discuss a superintendent profile, salary, and process. The superintendent profile will guide the board's work of hiring a superintendent who possesses the desired characteristics and traits by the community. I would also like to ask Gary Ray of GR to start by providing a report on the stakeholder meetings and online survey and recommendations on the profile. So Thank you so much, Robert, Gloria, thank you for being here, and Gary, our team. So I think I'll just pass it over to the GR team, and you can take us through this conversation.
Okay, thank you so much for being here. I have Gloria Davis and Robert Alfaro, who are on the ground, met with a lot of stakeholders along with myself, talking to some folks on various Zooms and so forth. So Gloria tonight is going to go through the process of the stakeholder meetings, and probably we'll get some additional comments from Robert and I. So we'll start with the profile, and we will have a recommendation at the end. Gloria?
Okay, thank you, and good evening to the Austin Board and the public and everyone that is joining us. I will start with the K-12 Superintendent Search Survey and share the results of the survey and give an overview of what the survey entails. I'm going to now try to share my screen, or Jacob, are you pulling it up, or shall I? Let's see. Okay, give me a minute. And share screen. Okay, here we go. Can everyone see my screen?
We can see it.
All right, thank you. And let me do the slideshow. Move this out of the way. Play from start. Okay. All right. I will begin by saying the survey was a document that we distributed to the entire Austin community. And we are very happy to know that we had quite a few participants. And the survey was available in about 8 different languages. You see them indicated on the screen: Arabic, French, Japanese, Spanish, and many others. And basically, we were able to share all the information with any and all who participated. And you had about 687 members of the community that included, as you see, indicated parents, students, well, not students, but parents of students and parents of future students, as well as staff members and that were on the school campuses, as well as those in other positions across the district. We also had about 19% of the 687 that were community members, as well as others. So a good sampling, but the largest percentage was from parents of current students in the district. One of the things that is paramount with the survey is you have information on the question of, if you had a friend or a family member moving into the area, would you recommend that their child attend the district? And you see the percentages there, where 26% would indicate that they would highly promote the district. The 35% in terms of passives means that they were kind of in the middle, probably leaning more toward yes than no. And then detractors of 39%, meaning that they would not or would give it a lot more thought than just exactly saying that they would promote the district as indicated. The minus 35, 13% is basically the percentage difference between the 39, subtracting the 39 from the 26%. The top strengths that we heard, not only as you see indicated in the survey, but also as Robert will discuss a little later, even in the stakeholder meetings, were far and above caring and dedicated teachers and staff. So everyone felt very strongly about the staff and the teachers that are in the schools. So kudos to all those who work in Austin. A supportive, diverse, inclusive community and very involved parents and families was a part of the three top strengths that were indicated in the survey. What you see here are the critical issues that were indicated by those that participated in the survey. I won't go through all of these, but as you see indicated, the very top, the staff recruitment and retention, and this bears out in also what we heard in all of the stakeholder meetings. The ability to continue to have the recruitment of staff and then the retention of staff as a priority in the district. The school funding formula was the next critical issue, and the same was true, as you'll see later, in the stakeholder meetings, as well as what you see here in the survey. I kept telling everyone I learned more about recapture than I ever thought I wanted to know. So I really got a crash course. Teacher quality, and in teacher quality, the strongest aspect of that is in connection with the teach staff hiring and recruiting and retention, just making sure that you continue to maintain and select top quality teachers for the classroom. Special education was the fourth largest area, as well as then coming in fifth was diversity, equity, and inclusion. The other areas you see indicated there will continue to go in sequential order in terms of the percentage, but the top 5 or 6 were basically the same ones that we also heard when we met with all of the various stakeholder groups. The value traits of a great leader. This is a very critically important question that will go to our conversation around developing that profile. But I'll just highlight some of the ones that we also, again, heard as we met with all the various stakeholder groups, that effective communicator, a superintendent that will be able to support and emphasize all of the great things that are going on in the district as well as across the community. A trusted leader. The word trust came up often. As you see, not only in the survey indicating 55%, but also again through the stakeholder groups. The transparency, wanting to make sure that the new leader shows transparency and is able to really articulate the goals and the important challenges of the district, and not just from a standpoint of talking about them, but being the person that will help and engage others to get the situation solved, whatever it may be. The accountability for everyone's actions, including themselves as the leader, was also a very critical element, as well as knowing the interests of all of the stakeholders, all across the community and across the district, understanding the various communities and all the aspects that they need. You have a very diverse community, and that's to be celebrated. And this indicates that the constituents wanted a leader that is able to understand that and listen to the various aspects of all the communities across the area. And moving on, leading by example, and just, again, building that team, that strong team around them to make sure that from central office to the campus-based leaders, they are individuals that will support the strengths of the district, but most importantly, support the strengths of the students. Moving on, the second sheet just shows a continuation of those value traits. Again, being able to make strong decisions and stand by those decisions. We often heard wanting a leader that can do the right thing, understand what that is, and not waffle, not been either way, understanding that you listen to constituents, but also be able to make decisions. Fostering an idea of being innovative and just being a risk taker by being able to set clear goals and again, implement those. The areas of emotional intelligence and as especially as it's connected to not only special education, the needs of special education students, but also the needs of all of the students throughout the district. This third sheet, again, continuing with the components of the value traits of a great leader, you see maintaining a vision, being able to adapt to the changing circumstances around the district, and being able to not only understand what the needs are, but then being able to delegate effectively and work with people within the organization as well as throughout the entire community, that thereby resolving conflicts as they come up with a collegial collective effort from everyone involved. Here you see indicated the areas of expertise that those that participated in the survey felt were the strongest that they would like to see in the new leader. Competent and in diversity, equity, and inclusion was one of the top percentage points in terms of being very important. This scale shows from very important to not important, from the green through the red, blue being important, and kind of gold or yellow, somewhat important. But your top three areas, again, competent in diversity, equity, and inclusion. You see experience in a district with similar enrollment and demographics. That came through a lot in the stakeholder meetings as well, wanting someone that understands Austin, understands what Austin needs. Another one of the top areas was experience working as a teacher. We heard that not only through, as you see indicated in the survey, but also again in the stakeholder meetings, wanting someone that is an educator and has a familiarity with what happens inside of a school. The other top, one of the other top areas in terms of very important was experience working in public schools in this state. You see that at 51%. And then you also see one of the other top areas, knowledge of public education finance. This goes back again to the whole recapture funding formula and process, and wanting someone that's going to be an advocate for Austin as it relates to that process. Those were the key areas in the K-12 Insight Survey. And I can either entertain questions now, or if we want, Gary, we'll wait as we go through the stakeholder meeting and then respond to questions at the end.
Trustees, questions? Trustee Kaufman.
Yes, thank you for the summary. Can you just clarify which of the questions that you went over were open-ended and which of those were restricted to a limited set of options?
Well, basically, the part that all of the slides that I just went over were part of a set question, and then the participants responded. The open-ended questions came at the very end. I believe you have a copy of those responses. And so it was answering all of the various questions initially, and then the participants were able to respond.
Okay, so on page 5, where it has the three strengths of the school district and our community, and there were 3 things listed, were those from a set of choices, and you just gave us the top 3?
Right, exactly.
Okay. Whereas on the critical issues, were there other issues on the critical issues, or were those all of them that were
These
available?
were all of them. These were all of the ones
So for example,
that,
multilingual education wasn't an option for people to select?
don't believe it was. I'll have to look back at the entire survey.
And then there's other has 11%. Is there, where would was there a place for them to indicate what other?
They
Was.
could indicate if they had, there was spaces where they could do some write-ins too. Yes.
So,
Yes.
so for
Yes.
other, how do we know what they said for other? The 11% who answered other?
We could get you that. I mean, we have that, but this was just a summary
Yeah.
of what the data showed.
Okay, and then the valued traits, when you were going through those, so that's everything from 56% all the way down to 10%.
Yes. Not-
As you were describing those, you were reading them, but you were also adding a lot of like explanation behind them. Where was the basis of the explanation? Was that from the survey, or was that from the focus groups, or was that just from your experience?
It was more from the focus groups. That's why I would say I wanted to highlight, show the connection between the survey and the focus group. So when I would mention additional explanation, that was from the focus groups.
Okay.
And basically letting you know where we see in the information from in the survey, we also heard it in the focus groups.
Okay.
Yeah, and we will also get to that, some of the points in the focus group when we get to the next piece.
Okay. And then what's the best way to interpret the areas of expertise? Like the green showing the very important, or the green plus blue? In your experience, what's the best way to kind of rank those? I would guess very important plus important. So looking for how far the blue stretches to the right, but how would you
Exactly.
suggest we interpret that?
You are absolutely right. The green plus the blue in terms of very important and important.
Okay.
And that's why I try to highlight the ones that have the largest percentage in those two areas.
Okay, so rank ordered, it would be public finance, experience working as a teacher, diversity, equity, inclusion, and then experience working in public schools in Texas.
Yes.
Nope. Right before that would be the similar enrollment and demographics. Okay,
Right.
great, thank you.
Those were the ones I highlighted, yes. Let me go back.
No, that's great, thank you.
Okay.
Yes, trustee Boswell.
I have one question and one request. It would be extremely helpful as we have our discussion tonight to have a copy of this in front of us, because it's a whole lot of information to remember. And if I don't know, Dr. Reach, if it's possible to get printouts of these for all of us, but I think that would be extremely helpful, probably both PowerPoints, so we have the data in front of us. You think we can do that? Thank you, I appreciate that. And then my second question is, the free response questions, are those reflected in any way in this? And has everyone on the board had a chance to read those? I can't remember if that went just to the 4 people on the search committee and didn't go to everyone else. And I think there was really valuable content in those, and they take quite a while to read. There are hundreds of them. But it was really helpful to see patterns, and just offers a different perspective from what we're hearing tonight. So certainly it would be helpful for everyone to make sure everyone does have access to those before tomorrow's hearing and before Saturday's meeting as well. So thank you for that. And then I just have kind of an interpretation question. You know, I think we're seeing on one thing, 13% said it was important to have someone who's an instructional leader. But then on the areas of expertise, 63% said experience as a teacher is important. Kind of what do you hear in that? Kind of what is that telling you? Because I think it's
saying basically to me and to us that from the respondents, that they want someone with an education background. They want someone that has been a teacher, understands education, is able to relate to the needs of what is happening within the schools.
But as far as an instructional leader versus experience working as a teacher, that people see those as two distinct things, is that?
I would say instructional leader and teacher can be transposed. I think an instructional leader, though, doesn't have to necessarily be a teacher, but someone, again, that understands what takes place in schools in terms of advancing instruction. That's how I would interpret it based on the data that we have. Someone that knows what goes on a day-to-day basis in schools can work with staff and campus leaders to make sure that the highest level of instruction is being advanced on a regular basis.
Okay, thank you for that. And then I would also love to see, again, I know we can't do it right now, but before our hearing tomorrow and our meeting on Saturday, would really love to see, for example, I think what are the strengths of our district? I believe that was a free response, just blank boxes, if I remember the form correctly. And I would love to see the rest of those, kind of the top more than 3. I know there were 3 boxes that people had to answer, but it would be helpful to me to see what else people see as strengths. Because I think we, are hoping to lean into our strengths as well as address areas where we need to grow as a district. So thank you for that.
And you'll hear more about the strengths when we discuss the stakeholder.
Yeah, we have additional information where, if we can go ahead with some of that, it might answer some of those questions for you.
Thank you.
Before we go into trustees, any other questions on that presentation we just saw? Yes.
Just the categories of respondents included a lot of family members, and then a smaller number of staff members, and then roughly a slightly smaller number of community members, and then others. It's okay if no, but did you conduct any disaggregation to see whether there was agreement among families and staff and community, or if there were big differences that popped up in terms of what people valued?
No, we did not disaggregate it in that way, mainly just in terms of letting you know who the percentage of people who did respond, but not going through each question and then disaggregating whether the responses percentage that came from parents and so on.
Okay,
no,
thank you. Thank you.
Any other questions? So I had a similar question about the disaggregation. I would be interested in kind of getting a sense of what the top traits were by demographic group, like racial, ethnic categories. I know I had asked Dr. Reach to at least look at one of the questions, which was the Net Promoter Score. If you don't mind putting that slide up, that would be helpful. And so this kind of just gives us an indication on how happy people are with the district. It's like how likely are you to recommend AISD for for students. I can't read. Sorry, I don't have my distance glasses on, but something along those lines. And so -13 seemed like it was in the range of obviously negative numbers are worse than positive. What would be like a really low score here?
I would say anything -25, -30, and almost double what you have here.
Okay, and so
we've had schools that had much.
Right.
This is not bad at all.
okay, so just for the information for the trustees, so Jacob did actually disaggregate this by race and ethnicity. So for all respondents, it was -13, which you see there. For white respondents, it was -10. For Black respondents, it was -32. For Asian, it was +18. For Hispanic, it was -1. And for other, it was -23. So our Black African American community would not be recommending AISD. just so we all know that. I don't think that's news to many of us, but I just wanted to call that out. And it would be very helpful, I think, for our board and for our community to get some sense of how the traits are disaggregated by race, like maybe the top 3 traits for each racial category, because I imagine there would be some differences there. Is that something that y'all could do?
We could definitely talk to K-12 and see about getting that disaggregation.
Okay. Do you want to?
So I know we use K-12 for our, we just started using them recently for our climate surveys. And I wonder, we don't use them for our climate surveys. Oh, we use Panorama, pardon me, never mind. We don't use K-12 for our climate surveys, we use Panorama. Thank you. Okay, for our tracker, never mind. Do they have a dashboard like Panorama has? Because there's a dashboard that we can use and we can look at the data ourselves. We can share it with our community. It would be really helpful if we had the opportunity to kind of look at this ourselves, if that's a tool that K-12 offers. Thank you.
We can definitely check with them on that.
They probably do, but we can check on it.
Thank you, and I think our community would be interested in seeing that as well. We can put it on our superintendent search website if that's something that exists. Thank you.
I did want to ask, the response rate was 600, I think it was 600, around 680 or so.
87.
Is that fairly low for a district this size?
I would say a little lower than given your student population. It wasn't terrible, but maybe a little less than average.
Yeah, I think the 51 groups that we reached out would be probably a record for us on the number of, various organizations that Gloria had kind of mentioned and probably will get into. So I think the outreach to various stakeholders, you obviously cannot make people to participate, but the board certainly was willing to reach out. So it was a great reach out, at least for the 40 years I've been doing this.
Okay, cool. And I just wanted to make a request. Dr. Reach, do you think you could, did you send to the trustees, I can't remember if I asked for it, the open-ended responses? Okay, if you don't mind doing that, and also if you have time to put that under executive content and board docs. Cool. Okay, awesome. Thank you. Okay, y'all ready to go on then? Okay, go ahead, Gary.
All right, Gloria, go ahead. You're getting the rest of the information. You're on a roll here, so I'll let you.
Okay, I'm going to pull up for Robert, let's see. Oh, I'm going to end this one. Give me a second. All right, with that up. And then I need to get the other document. All right, I will share my screen. Okay, can you see this PowerPoint?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right, Robert, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
Okay. Good. Madam President, members of the board, good evening. I'm Robert Alfaro with GR Recruiting. I want to start out by saying that I personally had a really wonderful time visiting with community members and stakeholders. They were, I will tell you, very, very professional. Even the bus drivers who I met with at 3 different locations were very respectful. I don't think there was anyone who got out of hand or was in any way mean or demeaning. And so I really had a good time visiting with all the stakeholders. We had about 51. That's not including the individual meetings that we had with you. So there was about 60 stakeholder meetings that we had. Of those meetings, they were either held virtually or in person. And from what we were able to calculate, there was about 400 different individuals that participated. The major stakeholder groups included, of course, teachers, administrators, both central office and campus level administrators, and support staff, including school-based staff, bus drivers, community members, parents, and of course, students. Let me see. There were approximately 8 questions that were asked of each one of the groups, describing the strengths of the district and the community. And there were some that were very, very similar. Of course, they recognized that what one person told me is the teachers were great and an asset to the district. Campus administrators, they lauded them. They also talked about the district, the support, the community, the parental involvement and engagement. I mean, there were so many different things that they said. Some included things like the dedicated teachers and administrators, the quality schools, the supportive community, the equity office. They had talked about the issues that the district was facing, and they had a lot of confidence in what the district was doing and what they were planning on doing. And so, as far as the community, one person told me, well, you can Google that and you can find out everything there is to know about Austin. But some did say that there were things like music. They liked the fact that the food was great and the best barbecue in town, and the green spaces and the walking trails and the river. They mentioned the businesses and the attractiveness. Several of them said, we may be weird, we love weirdness, and we'd like to be considered as being the weird city of this country. One of them mentioned the fact that, well, I would say one of them mentioned to me that they had the best university this side of the Mississippi. So there was a lot of good things that were said about the community and, of course, about the district. But there were several themes that were expressed by all groups, and we synthesized some of this and looked at it and carefully went through each one of these. And what we found was that the significant strengths of the districts in the community, there were more people talking about the diversity of the district and community, and it is celebrated that the diversity of this community is a plus, a big plus, and they lauded that. Strong support and engagement from parents in the community, obviously, and high instructional standards. They talked about, we didn't put it on here, but one of the things that we visited the all-girls school, beautiful building, and we saw them in action. Great job. That was impressive, in my opinion. There was a strong relationship with business and nonprofit funding partners. We met with the business community, and they were there to support. Caring teachers and staff, beautiful area to live in, of course, and wonderful colleges and universities. When we got to the critical issues and the critical challenges, of course, they noted special education and that it was in noncompliance, and there was concern from students and parents and community members. I found it rather interesting and enlightening that many of the different groups that we spoke to or I spoke to, they all knew pretty much about this whole recapture and the Robin Hood plan. I mean, I was even, like I said, I was impressed by the bus drivers who said, we need to get rid of this recapture thing. We're losing a lot of money. So it seems to me like everyone knows that this is a major critical issue. What I didn't get from them was that the school district really doesn't have much control over this. And so it has to be a legislative thing. But later, like Gloria mentioned, is they really would, when you talk about the skill sets that they're looking for a superintendent, this is somebody that understands this and is politically savvy, not necessarily political, but politically savvy on how we can get something like this done a little better. They didn't feel like it was going to go away, but they felt that it could be done better to where it would serve the districts like Austin and the students here in a better way. Teacher and staff retention came up time and time again. I spoke to two groups of Latino Spanish-speaking parents, and this is one of the things that they said. They said that that there were not enough dual language or bilingual teachers or ESL teachers, and that they wanted something done about it. The disparity between schools in terms of the East and the West and the size of the community, that was an issue that was just across every section. Understanding Austin and the diversity, one group said, while diversity is a plus for us, diversity is also a challenge for us as a district. When we asked about qualities of the superintendent, they wanted someone who could demonstrate real leadership in understanding equity, inclusion, and diversity. A transformational leader. They wanted someone that could come in and work on the things that were working well and move them to the next level, and not come in and change everything, but come in and emphasize on the things that were working and move the standard up higher. Those things that were not working, they wanted them to be a risk taker and do something about it. And once a decision was made, stick to it. They wanted someone with a backbone that could say, this is the way it is because this is right for kids. They wanted a team leader. They wanted a good listener, someone who's approachable and, again, possessed the political savvy. Not a politician, but someone who understood the nuances of the politics. A leader who's experienced as an educator, someone who sets high standards and high expectations, and who holds people accountable, and who has worked in a similar type of district. A leader who is a great communicator, time and time again, someone who can communicate with us, tell us what you want done, and make it clear as to why you're wanting us to do this. I think that was the crux of it all, is that if you're going to do something and expect us to do something, please tell us why. And once we understand, we'll march on. That's what they asked. A leader who's committed to staying in Austin. They want somebody here who can at least be here for 5 to 10 years, right?
And these, I would say, are some of just the categories. I know we don't have to go through all of these, but I wanted to make sure that you were able to see from both Robert and I just what various groups of individuals said. So I wanted to, Robert.
We broke it down to kind of give you an idea of how similar these are, and these things kind of rose to the top among each of the groups. These are some of the things that campus administrators said. More equitable opportunities for all students. Equitable opportunities, time and time again. There's a serious lack of teachers, especially in those specialized areas, like special education and bilingual education. teacher retention, and they talked about competitive salaries. Frustration over the recapture of funding. The superintendent should be able to support the views of Austin as it relates to that funding. Central office administrators said they were concerned over the leadership instability. Again, they wanted a superintendent to stay here for a while. They didn't want someone to use this position as a stepping stone, but they wanted a commitment and someone who wanted to be here. The diversity of the workforce is lacking at all levels. What they were talking about was that they wanted teachers to mirror your student population. Stronger plans to improve teacher retention, a strong central office for support of schools. Of course, you see the frustration over recapture funding and loss of students because of economic conditions. And there was also talk about loss of students to charters and private schools. That they came out clear in just about everyone that we spoke to. The support staff said effective communication again. Salaries are not high enough for them to support. And some of them shared with me their frustration over having to live outside of Austin where it was more affordable. I said they wanted to stay here, but they couldn't afford to do so. Loss of students to charters and private, student discipline, problems especially as it related to the most recent discipline policies. And the support staff mentioned safety and security concerns. The teachers, they want someone who can demonstrate true support for teachers and someone who can improve the morale. They're tired, there's uncertainty, there's anxiety. They want somebody that can build them up, someone that can give them a vision so that they can say, okay, now we know where we're going. The need for a stronger effort to attract and retain teachers, again, the East-West divide. They wanted someone to implement the recommendations of the Stetson report. State funding policy needs to be addressed again. The community partners, the need for a new superintendent and the board to restore trust in the community and trust in the direction this district wants to go. Declining enrollment, of course, paying staff well and competitive salaries, and address the morale issue. A better communication, same thing. Business community is a strong partner. Use them. And there is a divide in the community. The superintendent needs to divide people. I said there was a disconnect between what's happening on the ground and what's happening up here. The parents, they wanted the recapture addressed. They need to work with all parent groups, not just those that spoke the loudest, and address some of the root causes of student discipline, such as mental health. Special education was a concern by parents, particularly the ones that we met at one of the middle schools. They wanted to establish a strong, positive district culture that will reduce staff anxiety and improve morale. And of course, equity needs to be a strong priority. So those were some of the recurring themes.
And I think Gary can now, these are a summation, if you will, of those top traits that we pulled together from both the survey results and the stakeholder meetings. So Gary, you want to go through?
Yeah, along with our individual meetings with the trustees, we took the three three groups and tried to come up with, we always have anywhere from 8 to 10, sometimes 11 characteristics and traits. Obviously, this is a profile, and we try to put the ones that come up the most often, through the surveys and board interviews and stakeholders. We can't put everything in the profile. It's just too much. Otherwise, it kind of waters down the profile. And when people look at it, they're thinking that, hey, they're throwing everything in there, including the kitchen sink, so to speak. And it's not really a very good recruiting tool to go beyond 10 or 11 characteristics. So we tried to put these together, and some of these you're going to, see again that came out of some of the either the survey data or the meetings that we had or discussions. So what we would do is put this on the website, on our website, and we would use the profile to recruit people. I mean, we realize that we might not find someone that's going to have every trait, but most of them would be our guiding light, as well as when we not only recruit people, we screen them based upon our meetings in the district and our discussions. So this is what we would recommend as far as approving the profile tonight. And it starts, as you can see, is able to lead a large organization dedicated to the goals of continuous improvement and make strategic decisions with a big picture lens. Has demonstrated real leadership and understand true equity, inclusion, and diversity, inspires trust and models high standards of integrity and ethical behavior in all aspects of district leadership. So you can see that on your screen there that these reoccurring themes, either through sometimes the survey, even shall we say, put a stamp on some of the discussions we have with community people. Promotes a positive professional environment for district's employees and boards, and able to build consensus, commitment among individuals and groups. Is energetic and engaged leader, possesses excellent people skills with the ability to gather input and make decisions that put students first. And this one has came up so often, is an effective, open, transparent communicator with strong listening skills, creating a positive school, parent, and community relationship, and understands the academic needs of all students. So I think that kind of goes back to the teaching, part of it, and being a true educator. So that there relates to closing the student achievement and opportunity gap. And is a leader who's a team builder, a good listener, coachable, and possesses political savvy. And Robert mentioned that a number of times, has experience providing quality programs for students in special education, and is dedicated and committed to a long tenure in Austin, and has experience and demonstrated strategies to improve teacher and staff retention. So we tried to do all that, capture everything from all the information. So we would recommend these points as being the profile.
Awesome, thank you. Trustees, any questions or comments on this presentation? Trustee Hunter.
Do we have a list of the groups that were spoken with? Did I miss that somewhere?
We do, and we have a list that we can provide you in terms of, and Jacob as well, because the list was created by the district, but we have it, and so does Mr. Reed, in terms of the stakeholder meetings.
I just, as a request, I'd really like to see that, because with the number being so low with the community, I still just don't have a feel of what our community, with this sample, I get what they're saying, but until I know, like, when we disaggregated it, we saw how there's a difference in what people are saying. So I really would just like to see those groups. And do we have information broken down by the groups?
In terms of
What
the
their
different
top three or?
Yeah.
Okay, I really would like to see that, because then that helps me a little bit more kind of know what who is saying what, and where they're focused. So if I can make that request to have that information, that would be helpful. Thank you.
Trustee Kaufman.
So I have one question and then one suggestion. The question is really, with all this data, like what was the process for kind of bringing to the top the most common themes? Like how did you go about that and distinguishing from things that 20 people said versus things that one person said? Like what was the process for that?
Basically, the process is going through all of the notes that were taken from the various stakeholder groups, and then those reoccurring themes, the reoccurring things that we heard, then they became part of the summation. As an example, staff retention and attracting quality staff, that came up over and over again. The East-West divide and how that needs to be addressed by the new superintendent in terms of the schools on one side of town being viewed as having more, being better, and so on. That came up over and over. Recapture, the whole process around funding came up over and over. The idea of improving teacher morale and staff morale, that came. So the things that we heard from group after group after group were the ones that we use as a summation, because we felt like that was more of a consensus of what is being thought and felt across the district.
Okay.
Along with our interviews with the board of trustees, and as well as the survey. Some of the information from the survey that we had, we were hearing the same thing from the stakeholder group. What we're looking at, tonight, and what we need to have is, there's a lot of information here, but what we're really trying to do is put together a profile so that when we're recruiting candidates applying, they can see they looked for somebody who has demonstrated real leadership and understanding through equity, inclusion, and diversity, someone who models trust. I mean, those are the kinds of things we're trying to build for the profile. There's a lot of information here that we'll probably utilize to develop interview questions, through the interview process. But we've had to focus for the purpose of this meeting and for recruitment. What's the profile look like, so when somebody looks at it, they can say that's me.
Okay. So thank you. And as I look at a couple of the key points made here, there's talk about like understanding, so demonstrated real leadership in understanding equity, inclusion, and diversity, understands the academic needs of students. What I have, I want to make sure that I don't want to contradict what your findings are, but what I have heard loudly and clearly from people in that area is that they want results, they want demonstrated success in raising achievement, demonstrated success in incorporating the key indicators of diversity, equity, inclusion in our district. And so I just wonder, would it be accurate if we were to change that language? Would that still accurately represent what you heard in the sessions and in the survey if we were to word that much more strongly in terms of action and success rather than understanding?
I would say so.
Yeah, I agree with Gloria. We could do that without changing a couple times. I think, looking back at it, like we've got where they demonstrated real leadership and understanding the equity inclusion. We certainly could do that in a couple other places. When we recruit candidates, part of the interview processes will probably be asking them questions, what have you done in these areas?
Okay.
And they'll definitely have to be able to demonstrate in the area of academic achievement and closing the achievement gap.
Okay. Great. And thank you. That's fine. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other trustees? So I guess one question I have that might be a little bit related to what Trustee Hunter asked was, how representative do you feel that the outreach was of our community in terms of reaching different populations, ethnic, racial groups, economic levels, that type of thing?
Well, I'll say I thought that I felt the outreach was great. I mean, as we said, we had over 51 groups that we know were invited, and almost to a one, someone within that group showed up, or several, or the entire group, depending on who the group consisted of. So the outreach, I would say, was very wide. In terms of the diversity or socioeconomic levels, not really sure in terms of who was in the room. I would say that the diversity of the groups, it was predominantly white, but we did have mixtures in some of the parent groups, especially, not so much in staff.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right. Oh, I'm sorry, Trustee Zapata.
Do I need to turn that on? Yeah.
Yes.
So, okay. So you mentioned also that you had input from students.
Yes.
So is there a category of how many students participated and from where? And was that information also taken so that we have an idea what students were thinking in this process?
Yes,
So we had, go ahead, Robert.
we
Go
broke
ahead.
it down by groups. I'll let you do this, Gloria, because you're the one that collected the number of people that was in each one of these groups.
Right. But we had the one student group was the Student Equity Council, and we had 10 participants in that particular group. That in terms of, there weren't any other student groups that we met with other than that. That's why we didn't put a separate category up.
Yeah, they have the survey, they can participate in the survey too. Yeah.
Right. But
And so you received surveys from students. Well, what was that number like? Do you
I
know?
met with the Superintendent Student Council, and there were 5 students in that group,
Thank you.
in addition to the other one.
Okay, thank you.
Any other trustees have questions? Great, thank you. Really appreciate that synopsis. I know it's a lot of work. By the way, I've been looking through the open-ended survey results as well, and it's really helpful. So I appreciate that we included that question. And and I don't know if what your takeaway is, but as I'm looking at these, it seems like teacher retention is probably the most common thing that people are talking about in the open-ended comments. Was that your takeaway as well?
yeah, teacher retention over and over and over again
Yep.
from all segments of the community and district.
Great, thank you. All right, so what's next in the conversation?
Well, from our point of view, we presented these in order for us to move forward. I mean, we need to get to the point where we can start recruiting. And so what we want to do is get this profile approved. And I know that there's not everybody's item that they'd like to have on here is on the wish list of what they'd like to see in the next profile. But we do need to get this profile approved. That it generally, I feel strongly that it kind of captures the things from the community stakeholders, as well as the survey reflects that, so that we can go out and have this profile, and then we can start advertising, and then we can start recruiting. I mean, we have recruited some, but people will say, where's the profile?
And with the changes that Trustee Kaufman suggested, from understands to demonstrates.
Yeah, we can. Yeah, I mean, we certainly could do that. We're going to be looking for that anyway. You know, as I said when we started this process, somebody's track record tells an awful lot about the candidate. So that we'll be asking often, you know, what have you done?
Yes.
And I think I can put a copy with the entire list up on the screen, if that will help. I'm doing that right now. There we go.
All right. Trustee Boswell?
Hi, thank you for this. I appreciate it. I have a couple of other suggestions to put out to my colleagues and to each of you, if you don't mind. Along with is dedicated and committed to a long tenure in Austin. I know in conversations I've been having, I've been hearing some themes of they love us for who we are. And they understand our depth of engagement. They understand they're not intimidated by the fact that people are going to speak out and be heard. And I wonder if it might be helpful, and I think it's necessary to have a long tenure in Austin to see our engagement as a strength, an asset, and a resource. Something along those lines, dedicated and committed to a long tenure in Austin, and really is not intimidated by the way we engage, but sees strength in the way we engage. And something that captures that, I think, is something I've been hearing from people and just think is a necessary element to succeeding here. That you need to know you're walking into that and know that it's a source of power and knowledge when you listen to it and incorporate it and engage with it. The second thing I would have in understanding the true equity and inclusion and diversity is that I think we need someone, that diversity includes lots and lots of different things. Obviously, our racial diversity, our linguistic diversity, our diversity of personal experience. It also includes economic diversity that is unusual in a Texas district, unusual nationally. You know, that we are about 50% economically disadvantaged and 50% not, and we are the rare city in Texas, you know, big urban district where people across the economic spectrum continue to choose our schools. And I think someone who has experience navigating that, it's a unique challenge and a unique opportunity. It's a strength and a challenge. And I would love my colleagues' thoughts on kind of whether that's something that needs to be here and that people need to understand about us, because it takes a different kind of savvy and understanding, and I think it's an important part of what we are. I also don't see the word collaborative anywhere in here, and I think that is something our community really insists upon, and we're stronger when we do that well. You know, positive, professional, and collaborative environment for district employees. Safe. I think our employees need to feel safe in addition to valued. Some of those words, you know, I think trust needs to be in here, collaboration needs to be in here. I think that positive and professional environment should include our students and families as well, not just the employees and the board, but really, you know, all of us. And I also don't see anything in here about really leaning into that collaboration with our larger community and that understanding. I think we are unusual. I think we have the largest number of not-for-profits per capita of any city in the country. And I think, someone who really leans into those community assets and resources, as are reflected in some of what you shared with us in the open-ended responses. So those to me are important things that seem like they're missing to me. I know we can't, make our list too long, but I think they relate to some things that are here. So I wanted to put that out for conversation with my colleagues and with you. Thank you.
Thank you for that feedback. Yeah, and I would love for all the trustees to maybe offer additional, I would love to hear from all the trustees really on this one. Like is there anything that needs to be added? Is there anything that you feel like is, redundant in here? How do we, I think, I'll just speak for myself. I think this captures like 90%, or 80%, a pretty decent amount of what we're looking for. So thank you. But, I would love to kind of hear from everyone. So thanks, Trustee Boswell, for that. Anyone else want to share? Vice President Foster.
I'm good for
We
now.
made eye contact.
Yeah,
You know what that means.
I'm good for now.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, then.
So what is the expectation? Do you want us to like, are we going to actually like wordsmith this tonight and like get this in a format where it's ready to be voted on? What is the expectation?
Well, we could tweak a couple things, but I don't want to wordsmith the whole document. And I think we've got to be a little bit. We do have the word trust in what we have here, and I think we can maybe talk a little bit about collaborative and a couple of those things that we could probably wordsmith ourselves.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we could probably go ahead and at some point in time, we have to bring this to a conclusion because we're going to have to move on in the process. But, hopefully you can allow and have some trust in us to, between Robert and I and Gloria, we took, I know Gloria and I wrote down a few notes here, so we could probably wordsmith it a little bit and maybe kind of go with it because it's just important for us to continue to go on. Remember, this is a profile what we would like to see, but these candidates are going to do a whole lot of research and know an awful lot about you folks. And so I think Gloria and Robert and I could wordsmith that a little bit and not really change the meaning of it too much, because when we ask people to do surveys and we ask them to do the questions, I'm always a little bit hesitant to do too much tweaking on it, or people are going to say, why did you ask us? Even fill out a survey or do something if you're going to change the meaning of it. So I'm very careful about changing meaning. But I don't mind adding, collaborative and engagement and maybe add some more words about the social economic. And you can tell I took a few notes.
Yeah. And some of the things that Trustee Boswell that you mentioned could very well be incorporated into some of the questions that you're going to ask these candidates. And so it's not that, I've jotted down some notes too, but I was thinking about this, and when we put down the questions, we'll give you an opportunity to look at those questions, and this is where you can come in and say, you can throw in this thing about trust and how do we be able to demonstrate and build trust within the community and so forth. We can use some of those in the questions that you're going to ask the candidates. That gets to your point.
Yes. Thank you. Yes, Trustee Hunter.
Thank you. Agree to disagree. I really think it's important that if you say we want to wordsmith it, that we do it collaboratively, because your business, we know our city, and no candidate can Google what Austin is. You gotta be here to experience it. And the reason I say agree to disagree, because I guess I'm gonna get country on you for a minute. If I write questions, you bring me a goat, and I asked the goat if it can lay eggs, I was looking for a chicken. So I think it's best to start off bringing me a chicken, and I can ask each chicken how many eggs they lay. So I think right now, for me, I don't know about anybody else, but we're close, but we're not there. And you say like a profile, when that profile goes out, it's my expectation that the people who are applying are like, yeah, I have done this, I can do this, I've got proof I can do this. So that's why I think that it's really important that we get the words just right. For instance, it says, has experience in providing quality programs. We got lots of programs. Implementing is the problem, right? Implementing it effectively is what we're looking for. And I don't think that changes. Parents who are out there saying, provide good programs, what they're saying is, my kids should be able to read. My special education students should be, that's implementation. So where they have the idea, you have the fortune of having a board of educators, we may have a better, see what I'm saying? The parents are saying one word, the actual thing is an educational term that maybe we can, not even an educational term, but a term that we can help better build in. And I'm not saying we rewrite everything, but I'm saying they're like demonstrate rather than understands. Everybody always says understands, right? But we know when we write questions and we write state standards, we don't say understands because we know that there's something happening. But parents are, that's the whole point of asking the parents, right? So they can kind of create what they want. Then we, being the board, right, can look at that and say, yes, to get there, this is how you get there. But I think that starts with this document. And I think it needs a little bit more than tweaking. Not any disrespect to what you've done, because this may work perfectly somewhere else. It might not, like I said, right? I'm asking for a chicken, you might be bringing me a goat. Thank you.
No, we understand, and the points that you made are definitely, I mean, right on target. There's no disagreement. I think what we're trying to say here is that we can tweak this, and we can do it tonight, and we can work through it tonight, the wordsmithing. But in my mind, I'm thinking, we've got to get this out to our associates across the country so that we can start recruiting. I think that's kind of why we're in a hurry, approve this. But we don't want to, I think what you just mentioned is right on target, and we need to include those things. So what would be the best way to handle this? Do you want to take some time to look at it?
So I think it's up to us as a board how we want to do it. I'm just looking. I'm reading y'all's minds, and I'm seeing that we need to work on this and make this our own a little bit more. So I appreciate the feedback on that. We have to vote on this on Saturday, is my understanding. Like, we are scheduled to vote on this Saturday morning. And so as long as we kind of have something ready by then, we're good, right? That's because that's so that you have time. So I think we can either go one by one and give you feedback on each of these, and you all take the notes, and then maybe send through Jacob a draft that can go out to all of us, and then we can kind of take it from there. Okay. That's one option. Another option might be that we just send all of our feedback to Jacob right now, and we don't really discuss it so much tonight, but we just send our own individual feedback to Dr. Reach. Sorry, I'm volunteering you for that. And then GR, you can go through and wordsmith and send us a draft back again through Dr. Reach. I'm sure there are other options, so let's hear them.
So I have a thought. We have a public hearing scheduled for tomorrow, where we're going to be sharing and I think soliciting public comment, and again on Saturday. And so I think if the goal is to let our community weigh in on this and tell us what they think, and tell us, if we've translated their input accurately, thoughtfully, and well, we need something pretty solid to present tomorrow night. I think we need something that's pretty close to where we're going to be. And Trustee Hunter, I appreciate your point that GR are experts in this process and in recruiting, and that we're experts in our community. and our community, you're experts in our community, and that you've done a good job of gathering the feedback and getting it onto paper, but we aren't, I too feel like we aren't quite there. And I do also feel like this is pretty close. So I would love the chance to have a more robust discussion tonight and kind of go through and see, I mean, even if we want to go through item by item, and kind of see where we are and what more is needed. And I think we're probably not far from consensus, and I hope we can be efficient, but to me, that seems like a productive use of our time so that we can honor the chance for our community to weigh in tomorrow and Saturday, if we plan to take a vote on Saturday, which I understand the timeline.
Right.
And the need to get a profile out if we're going to get candidates.
Right.
So thank you.
And again, I don't want to in any way impugn the expertise that you bring to this, but I do want to just, and I absolutely don't want to slow the process down, but I do want to recognize that this is representing AISD, right? When people look at the job description, they're looking for, oh, this is a district that I might want to work for. So the content is clearly the most important piece, but I think the presentation matters also, and AISD has a brand, and there are many things we need to improve, but one thing we do very well is graphics, and this, this doesn't say AISD to me, the format, so I think it's important that before we send it out, and I don't think it has to take long, we have a team that does this work all the time, but I think that we need it to look like this. It needs to look like an AISD document when it goes out. So I just want to say that I think that is important.
Yes, that's true. It'll look like that. Yeah, it won't look like this.
Perfect, okay, thank you.
This is just for tonight, just to just have a discussion and come up with a final document. And then for sure, it has to look.
Okay, so the
Very good.
sample document we received from another district, that was not a final draft?
I'm not sure. I know which document you're referring to.
Well, I don't want to say. Fairfax County Public Schools,
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
so that is a final draft, okay. Yeah, so I would like it to look
That
like,
was the final draft, the way they wanted it, yes.
okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think all of us have given some feedback, and I'm good with what everybody said. But if there's some people that want to wordsmith it to make sure it's in there, then I'm good with that too. But I don't think I don't think I'll be the one being on the committee to wordsmith. So
Sounds good. Any other comments on process for tonight? I think we're in consensus then, to spend a little time tonight going through this, and probably, did we lose Robert already? He doesn't want to be on the committee either. So, what I would like to invite us, could we just take maybe, I feel like I need 5 minutes to really just sit with this, because this is the first time that we've all seen this, so that we're thoughtful in our discussion. So could we maybe take a 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 10-minute break, allow the trustees to really take a look at this so that we can be very efficient in reporting back to GR what the changes are that we might like to make.
Well, that sounds good from our perspective. If you want to take the 10 minutes, just remember what it's been said many times, 90%. We're pretty close to being there, so.
We got that. Got that message. Thank you. We appreciate it. Okay, so we'll stay on the dais, so we're not officially closing anything. We're just hanging out. Is that an official meeting? Is that a Robert's Rule of Order?
Well, you would need, if you're done, you need to close the meeting.
Well, we're not done. We're sort of taking should we call it a recess?
Then call it.
Okay, So it's 9:46 PM, so I'll call a 10-minute recess so that the trustees can take a closer look at the profile and be prepared to give feedback to GR. So 10 minutes. Thank you. Okay, so it's exactly 10 PM. We are back in session after our recess to review the superintendent traits that we're looking for. So thank you, trustees. Thank you to GR for allowing us this time. I guess we can go through, like, let's just go through this. There's no other way except through it. So let's start with number 1, and I'm assuming that GR, you're taking notes. So who wants to start? Should we just, does anybody have thoughts on the first one? That are, I would say, like, if you have, like, meaningful, yes, go ahead, trustee Boswell.
I would love to see number 1 read, is able to lead a large organization dedicated to goals of continuous improvement, comma, with a track record of making strategic decisions that consider both immediate needs and long-term goals, and of creating systems to ensure long-term success of projects, programs, and initiatives.
All right. Thank you. And I'm just going to read what I had for that one. It was very similar in some ways. Mine was is able to develop effective and collaborative systems to lead a large organization that will increase student achievement across all demographic groups, which was mine. Yeah, I can't read my writing, but so that's some input for y'all. Trustee Whitley-Chu, did you have any feedback on the first one?
I like Ben's. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Okay.
Well, I just wonder, is continuous improvement is just such a buzzword right now? Did anyone actually say continuous improvement in the survey? I didn't see that word there. I'm just curious, like how wedded we are to the words that are on here, because that's a buzzword and I don't remember seeing it on the survey.
I appreciate that and I like that. What if we took Trustee Singh's language about success for all students and put that in place of continuous improvement? And then instead of big picture lens, with a track record of making strategic decisions that consider both immediate needs and long-term goals, and of creating systems to ensure long-term success of projects, programs, and initiatives.
Sounds good.
What's your language? And I will make notes. That instead of continuous improvement,
that will increase student achievement across all demographic groups. Okay, let's move on to number 2. This is fun, isn't it?
and I will email this one by one as we go through. I'm happy to email it to whomever I should email it to.
All right. Okay, second one. Thoughts? Strong opinions? Go ahead.
I think we can just have leadership. I don't know what real leadership is. I just like plain old fashioned leadership. And if we could take understanding off everything, like can we, Trustee Foster, I have his document. He has a strike through for understanding also. And he says bringing about equity, not, again, true, I don't know about true equity, I just know equity.
Thank you. Yeah, I see some nods on that one. I think, and what I had put for that one has I crossed out understanding too, has demonstrated leadership, implementing equitable and inclusive practices that elevate diverse communities, but whatever, that might be too much wording. But I think one of the things I wanted to convey here is equitable processes, not just equitable outcomes, because you can have a vision for equitable outcomes and go through a very militaristic fashion of getting to them. And so I would welcome just thoughts on how we might make that nuance more clear.
May I ask, is someone totally getting down the final version after the discussion on each one?
Yes, I will do that and I will email it. And I have just emailed the first one to Robert and Dr. Reach. But Dr. Reach, if you want to send me everyone's email addresses, I'll make sure that Gloria and Gary have it as well.
Okay. So are we ready to move on to the next one, or do you need to wordsmith that one a little bit more?
So what I heard is the process of equity and diversity, equitable in processes that center equity, inclusion, and diversity.
Sure.
And do we want to talk about achieving? And what I had in that one, and tell me what I need to add and what I need to get rid of, has demonstrated leadership and success in processes that center equity, inclusion, and diversity, including diversity of race, socioeconomic need, language, and other measures that are important factors in the history and present of Austin ISD. Because I heard from a lot of things that need to understand our history, understanding where we've
good.
been, and understanding what's
Yeah.
happening now. What have I missed from what you guys had?
I would maybe add ability.
It's pretty
Ability.
long. We need to kind of not have them too long.
What's that, Gary?
Yeah, I just say, I think some of the, when a person looks at it and they read it, you almost have to add maybe another one. Some of them, if they get too long, it's like anything else, you're gonna lose the message. So I wouldn't get too long on some of them if we're making changes.
Thank
That's
you.
all I'm telling you. Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, number 3, thoughts on that one? We good with number 3? I think so. All right.
I would like to add at the end, and creates an environment where it is safe and expected for all staff to do the same.
Oh. Okay. Sounds good.
Thank you.
All right.
And I think we could, I think we could take out in all aspects of district leadership, because just having high standards of integrity and ethics,
Yeah.
ethical behavior.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, next one. Thoughts? You good? You good? Lynn?
Hold on.
I think we can remove "and board."
Oh, okay.
Um,
Thought of that.
I have thought. You
Okay.
may not be surprised.
Go for
Sorry.
it, Trustee Boswell.
Promotes a positive, collaborative, and professional environment for district employees, students, families, and board members, or we can take that out. And demonstrates a history of balancing knowledge and community feedback to inform decisions and build consensus among individuals and groups. I think when we just talk about building consensus, there are lots of ways to build consensus, and you can build consensus by being a bully, or you can build consensus by being collaborative and using that feedback. And we don't want someone who bows only to feedback. I think it's balancing that knowledge.
I like that.
Okay.
Agreed. Was there a reason you wanted to omit board from that, Trustee Kaufman?
The reason for omitting board is because I think it's just distracting from the other key groups, and I think that it's implicit. I don't think anyone in the feedback said that they want the superintendent to work well with the board.
Okay.
I think that's our
Alright.
opinion, and I think that's implicit in the superintendency, is that you need to work well with the board.
Okay. I'm fine taking that out.
Take that out.
Unless,
Okay.
I'm only halfway through the open-ended responses right now, so I
okay,
just don't,
good,
I didn't
good.
see it in any of the board
Thank
things
you.
that the firm presented to us.
Awesome.
Yeah, no, I don't remember that being a theme that I heard a lot of. Okay, was that number 4 or number 5?
1, 2, 3. That was 4. Okay, number 5. Thoughts on that one? No? Okay.
Yes,
Go for it.
just a little bit on this one. Is an energetic, engaged, and inclusive leader who possesses excellent people skills with an ability to gather input and make decisions that put students first without quotes and without the apostrophe. Thank you.
Thank you.
Without the quotes and the apostrophe.
We do want students first, it's not a suggestion, or
Yeah.
like, not for real, we actually do want that.
Yeah, I'm just curious why energetic and engaged. If that's-
Energetic and engaged was there.
Right. I'm just trying to
So,
understand
yeah.
why.
We want
why-
engaged,
Again, it energetic. I didn't see that on the surveys, and I'm wondering if did that come up somewhere that people said they want energetic.
Good point.
Because
That's a good point.
it just again that just rings as kind of generic to me. It doesn't sound like something that our
it's
community
not been
said,
here one time.
and so I
Okay,
would
you
like
just
to
searched
trim
it.
out the generic stuff and really focus in on what Austin looks
Mm-hmm.
for. And I
Yeah.
don't think we're looking for energetic.
I appreciate
Nope,
that.
not a one.
Can we say, do you mind if we put an engaged and curious leader?
Ooh, I like curious.
Tell me why, I'm not.
I did,
against it,
I
just
did
don't
see that
understand
in the survey.
That was probably my comment.
I did, no, I did, yeah.
Wasn't out of any group either.
What was that, Gary?
It wasn't on the survey, and that wasn't stated by any of the
Oh, he
groups.
said you don't see a need.
Okay,
Here.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
thank you.
I have heard it.
Which one?
in my
I
Energetic?
don't know how to spell.
You heard energetic?
No, oh, sorry, the curious.
Yes. Okay.
We're a curious community. I think
Yes.
there's a lot. We know ourselves, and I think that is, we're a university community. We're a community that,
I think
that seems,
yeah, I agree. And the reason too was like, especially if it's someone who is outside of Austin, I don't want them to come in and think they can fix everything, right?
So
And like
this is
without, yeah, with their own lens, but be curious about
So
what we've got.
This is optional, but I know we've heard a lot about the needs of adults so far. I mean, that's a very strong theme, is how adults are treated and how adults feel. And so I would like to recognize on here something in this frame, something like that puts students first without putting adults last, or something like that, that indicates that we don't put students first at the expense of adults.
Okay.
Right, and I don't know if that's too like quirky for a job, for a principal, or for a superintendent profile, but that's the message that I've heard from a lot of people, is
Me
that
too.
take care of the adults so that they can take care of the students. Put the, you know,
Yeah.
how about something like, while recognizing that students are best served when adults are also cared for, or when adults, I don't know what that might say.
That was a little bit. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
do
need
your
some
thing.
help.
Yeah. Oh, you.
It's
want-
not coming.
I mean, the technical term like that we've used when we've talked about Bruce Perry is regulated.
Oh, regulated. Okay.
Yeah. But I don't know if that might be too technical to put in a job description. But basically, like it's this acknowledgement that regulated students need regulated adults, but that might be a bit frou-frou for this.
so decisions,
Just kind of remember, this is a profile, it's not a job description. That's something that the board adopts, as a, duties and so forth. This is kind of a recruitment for the profile, but
Thank
it's
you.
not actually truly a job description.
thank you, that's,
Sometimes we use it.
thank you.
Okay.
And I do think the profile, yes, so that puts students first while
Wow.
recognizing the importance of creating a positive
Yeah.
working conditions for adults.
Yes,
Because working
Beautiful.
conditions is what we've heard a lot
Yeah.
about,
yes,
is working
we
conditions.
have. That's why they leave.
Yeah,
I mean,
so
for
that
sure.
Working
puts students
conditions
first
equals
while
learning
recognizing the
conditions.
importance of positive working environments for
Love that.
adults.
Love it.
And how about for the adults who serve our students?
Yes.
And that way we're circling back and
Yeah.
connecting it.
Very good. Okay, I think we can move on to the next one. I know. Yes, thoughts on the next one about communicator?
Is open not the same as transparent? Have I missed a nuance? Pardon?
Should we be unmuting ourselves?
Oh, yeah,
Oh, I'm
y'all
so
just
sorry.
can all unmute and just speak up. I don't need
Okay.
to call on you guys. We're all friends.
The first thing that jumps out at me is like open and transparent. I think transparent is enough there.
Okay. I'm good with that.
I want the sentiment. I don't like the phrase. So we do want someone who's a good listener, but with strong listening skills. I don't know how to.
Effective open.
I feel like you could get that with like transparent, two-way.
Could we say like empathic or something?
No.
That's
That
too
really
much.
is for.
Too
Sorry, I'm
woo-woo.
in Bruce Perry mode.
Just making it brief, like transparent, collaborative communicator.
Thank you, Trustee
have to.
Whitley Chu.
We have collaborative. I don't
Let's
want
put
to be
that.
redundant. I think we have collaborative in how they work.
Should it be something that speaks more to experience? Because I agree with what Trustee Hunter said. The or the not acronyms, the adjectives used to describe the style of communication don't really give me much more detail. But I want something that like elicits a capacity to have done this successfully somewhere else.
Yeah,
Authentic.
demonstrated.
Something along that lines. But what with relation to communication?
I mean, we
Dual.
could,
It's dual.
maybe a track record for effective, open, and transparent communication, or
Reciprocal.
We're getting fancy.
so. How about to speak to Trustee Gonzalez's point? How about is an effective and transparent communicator with a track record for creating positive school, parent, and community relations?
I like that.
Okay.
Are you taking listening skills out?
Well, I did.
only
I
asked
took it out,
because
but we
that-
can keep it in if we feel like we want to.
I do think that's something I saw come up.
Okay,
A
then we
lot
can
of people
keep it
want
in.
to be listened to.
A lot. Strong, good listening skills, strong listening skills
Okay.
came up a lot.
Thank you.
So
We'll keep that.
But what
Strong
does that
listening
mean?
skills and a track record of creating positive school, parent, and
Yeah.
community relations.
Yeah.
Say the first part. Say the second part. The part you were just.
Is an effective and transparent communicator with strong listening skills and a track record of creating positive school, parent, and community relations. What's the rest?
That's the listening skills part. I'm trying to put it in. I hear it. I can't get there. Okay. One more time. Sorry. One more time.
Is an effective and transparent communicator with strong listening skills and a track record of creating positive school, parent, and community relations.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Does that get it?
Yes.
Does
Yes.
that get to I think what we hear from our community and have heard from our community for a very, very long time is communication as a checkbox, communication as a PR tool, that we want communication that's real, that's authentic, that's not,
Okay, so can we add the
does
word
this capture
authentic?
that?
Yeah. I was
Yes,
about to say,
except
you
the,
can-
add the word authentic, and maybe just flip the whole thing to be a verb, like communicates effectively, authentically, and transparently. Or maybe not, wait, that's too much. Just, if you just add the word authentic, I think
Yeah,
it captures
I
what
like
you
the
said.
addition
Just
above.
what you had before, but adding authentic. Because I think that is it, like communication, you can be an effective communicator who, I mean, like a news broadcaster on TV is an effective communicator, but it's one direction.
Yeah.
That's why I
The
couldn't
two
get
direction
the-
is what
yeah.
everyone's asking for.
And I like the addition of the word authentic because I'm thinking if I'm going to ask someone about this particular point in the job description, like in an interview, I would want them to demonstrate how it was authentic. You know, so it's not just
A checkbox.
a modifier or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
Good.
Appreciate that.
Okay.
Okay, the next one about the academic needs. Thoughts?
Ben?
I know, let's just start with
I'm
Lynn.
okay with
Let's
this.
just start with the journalist.
That's
I have something, but it's long.
just- Hit it.
Go for it.
and I think we could, I have a kind of a checklist, and I think we could, a better word than understands, I don't know what word we want. The academic needs, we need something about action and demonstration and history, right? The academic needs of all students as it relates to closing the achievement gap. And I don't think we need to, we can say achievement gap and opportunity gap, however we want to do that. And then I have ensuring and inspiring a culture that believes in and achieves high academic standards for all students and supports strength across many programs in Austin ISD.
I think what you just said instead of what's on there.
That's the same thing.
It covers the exact same
It
content,
covers the
but
exact
it's,
same content.
Okay, and I'm not sure we need to list all of our programs, but
I would,
No.
Yeah.
no, we will not list all our programs, and someone should. Okay, so what is the, what do we want to say, demonstrated success in?
what you just said was,
Did you forget what you said?
I didn't have the very first part written down. I just
Oh,
had
sorry.
parentheses because we didn't want understands, we wanted a better word.
just say the part that you have written down again.
Something active, the academic needs of all
But
students.
I think we can we eliminate that whole part that you just said and just stick to the part that you added?
We don't have to do that right now because we can keep what you said. We can skip this one, come back, because it'll be, you can play it back tonight later on YouTube and write it down.
No, but just.
Well, the
what
only
you
part
just-
the part I added was ensuring and inspiring a culture that believes in and achieves high academic standards for all students and supports strength across many programs in Austin ISD.
I think that part, if you add the verb, covers what's on here, but it's much more action and focused on the outcomes.
The only thing I would add, the achievement gap piece came up quite a bit in conversation within the stakeholders, just that main piece. And it came up in connection with the conversation around the whole east-west divide, as some people called it. So I just wanted to share that.
Okay.
Okay, so we can put, how about a leader who ensures and inspires a culture that believes in and achieves high academic standards for all students.
So right there, that's closing the achievement.
And then we can
That
put
is
something about closing the achievement gap anyway in those words, right?
Yes. I think
I
there's.
mean, you said it though, by
But
high
you did say,
academic.
by what you
I
said
did.
does, and I think, personally, I think there is some loadedness about the achievement gap.
Yeah.
That's fair.
There are some pieces
Some
that,
people don't like that term.
yeah, and so I think that if we can avoid that term, again, it's a cliche term, it's something that we talk about all the time, and I think that what you're getting at is the high achievement for all students.
Yes. And I
I
think
think
we're,
that is what we're getting at, but I also think is very trite. I say opportunity gap, but because that's sometimes what it's all about is opportunity. But that does show up a lot, like
Okay.
24 different times in this document. Achievement gap shows up, so I think people need to see it.
Okay.
I think we have to say it. I think we have to say it.
do we want to say that recognizes the achievement and opportunity gap is more than just test scores? I mean, is that kind of what you're trying to get at? That it's about that high?
I think we can just add it in there.
Just add it.
I think you just need to say the words achievement gap.
Okay.
Because that's what I see.
It's in there a lot.
Yeah, it says because of the gap, still a gap. Well, yeah, that was communication. Achievement gap, filling gaps, too big of a gap. Leaders, there's educational gaps. It's in there a lot.
Okay, so ensures and inspires a culture that believes in and achieves high academic standards for all students.
Can't count that one.
Addresses the achievement gap, uses data and uses data to address the achievement gap in alignment with our values and supports strength across many programs.
that's really not a profile, that's more about what you want in a different way. It's not really you might want to shorten that a little bit there. Be my suggestion.
Maybe, can y'all work on that one for us, knowing, after hearing this discussion? Gary?
Sure.
Okay, Thank you. I think that I will just add to say, I think this particular phrase is important. This trait is important, the sentence is important because not only for the high expectations and the culture, but also the equitable allocation of resources, which talks about the opportunity gaps. So as long as we cover achievement gaps and opportunity gaps and like demonstrated blah, 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 and that.
Yeah, I think the word demonstrated is powerful, so I think we can try to work with that. I just keep scratching my head when I thought we were 90% there before we started here.
So, okay, so we'll move on to the next one. A leader who's a team builder, good listener, etc.
So this sentence, we've covered all of these someplace else, right?
Yeah.
So team builder was building consistency, good listener, we got good listener, approachable, open, and transparent. The only thing we don't have is, I feel like we can move political savvy up to, what number? These aren't numbered for me. What am I talking about? Number 6. Or just leave it by itself, or it becomes number, whatever number this is, 7?
I mean,
We could put approachable and with energetic, engaged, and inclusive, or whatever we landed with on that. We
again,
can
is
add
approachable a word that came out of here? Because I
It
think
came-
it's covered already.
Approachable came out a lot.
I heard approachable.
Approachable came out a lot, and political savvy, as Robert explained, came out a lot. They really want somebody to basically be able to stand firm with the legislature and the governor.
So can we strike out everything up to and just say who is approachable and possesses political savvy?
It's just those are two different things. But yes, we can.
Yeah, they're two different things, but yes, we can.
Well, can we move, you wanna move approachable to,
Number 5.
number 5?
Yeah, put that with the other aspects about relationships or about communication.
Yeah.
And then the savvy, maybe we spell that out with what was on the survey around understanding the political
climate.
context and climate of Texas
Yeah, I think
and Austin, and possesses the political savvy. No, possesses the political savvy
to
to
navigate.
navigate the
Yeah,
political context of
I think that's much better.
Texas.
Yeah, that gets to us, our
What you think?
specific needs.
I was just wondering how you even know if someone is political, if someone has political savvy. How would I be able to know that? Would I just be looking for someone with a demonstrated acumen or a knowledge of our political landscape as a state, our legislature?
So I would channel Gary on this and say that this is a profile. So
Yeah.
what we want to make
my
it
head.
clear to the applicants that they need to have that. If they don't have political savvy, then need not apply.
Exactly.
Versus
Know what you
us
get.
having to know how to ask for
It
it.
telegraphs to them that that's going to be super important.
We
I think
expect
exactly
that.
what David said.
And there are
Anybody who got a TV.
engagement programs. There are people who've worked with Holdsworth or Raise Your Hand. There are people who have gone and testified. There are people who are kind of in that orbit. I mean, there are things people do that show they're engaged. Maybe they promote voting in their district. Maybe they have been involved in a union and advocated. I mean, there are lots of ways, I think, that we can find that in people.
That was helpful.
They
hearing-
work with their city council really well. I think there are a lot of ways we can get to that, and a lot of ways people can show that, even if they haven't been advocates of the capital bond recapture. It's a skill set that shows up in a lot of different ways. And if we look at superintendents around the state, like H.D. Chambers, who was an A-leaf before Dr. Mays, Brian Woods in Northside ISD, there's some superintendents that have a real history of spending time at the Capitol specifically and are really good at that. But there are also lots of people who do that in other ways, who bring something that if that's important to us, we can make sure they're doing that. Does that make sense?
That was helpful. Thank you.
So what was the final statement for this one?
I don't know, because I was sending
I said we got to play.
a revision of number 5.
I liked what something that has the word Texas in it. They
Oh.
understand, they understand the political climate or the state of public education in Texas or whatever.
We said
and the
able to,
politi-
we said political savvy, able to navigate.
Yeah, the political.
Texas.
Now, just checking with our team, is I seem to remember you saying something about how this political savvy line was more about like
Recapture.
Political savvy. What's your interpretation of that political savvy? Is it about the kind of knowing the politics of a large organization or knowing the politics of Texas? Because I think what I heard a lot is about a lot of people were concerned about recapture and other
Texas.
aspects. So that I interpret it as political savvy, like understanding politics in Texas. Are we getting that right, or?
You're getting
Okay.
it right.
Then I think that's what we said is good. Whatever it was.
What was? So,
But something, I mean, again, I think we got the idea.
We said political savvy, ability to navigate the Texas.
okay, so it has the word Texas something or
Yeah,
other in it.
it's-
Okay.
something.
It's getting late now. We're like, whatever. Just
We're
put
almost
the
there.
word
So I
Texas
heard
in
man
there.
say that sentence twice, but I didn't know.
Yeah. Okay. So I will, do you feel like you have what you need, Lynn?
Can we say it without using the word political? Just talk about that understands the Texas legislative process and government, because I'm also seeing a lot that can just, I don't know, like David said, it
You
can.
could say taxes in there, or we'll just, that'll, message. The kid that's here looking for outside, you know.
Words political savvy were spoken very passionately by parents and staff. I mean,
Thank
those
you.
are the
Thank
words
you.
they use. They use those words.
Okay.
Okay. So maybe we don't put Texas because, well, that's, again, something they'll have to do their research, but
Ross is okay.
I mean, they meant Texas when
It's
yeah, they meant Texas.
Yeah.
And they gave real live examples.
Yeah.
It's in there quite a
Right.
bit.
Which doesn't mean you have to be in Texas, it means you have to do your research.
But we just can't have the word
Political
Texas.
climate, political spectrum.
We can't have what?
He suggests we don't
You
put,
can't have the word Texas in there. I understand what you mean, but some of that will be used as an interview question, I think. You could ask them where where they had dealt with maybe a political decision or what's been their relationship working with legislators and people like that, or when they had to fight.
Do we want to say something
Do you wanna say it?
specifically?
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, I feel, so y'all tell me if we don't, I think it's very important that whoever gets into this position, that even applies, like they should study up on the school finance system of Texas. Like, I don't want to spend a whole lot of interview time, like, that's like a screening question for me. Like, so I do want them to kind of highlight that in their cover letter and their resume, if they understand school finance, particularly in Texas, because that determines so much of what we do. It's like school finance curriculum, there's like a lot of politics here. So if there is some way that would be appropriate to put that in a profile, I'm open to it.
Can
How about
Catherine
this?
repeat what she said?
What's that? Oh, did Catherine have something?
I mean, can she repeat what she said?
Me?
Mm-hmm.
I would, because political has like those connotations, like Dave was saying, like of being political within an organization or something. They like working ability to work with the legislature and understand the legislative process for the benefit of public schools in Austin IC. Or it doesn't have to be that long, but maybe being more specific.
So how about this, Catherine? A leader with the skills necessary to understand and navigate the educational and public education funding landscape in Texas, although past professional or personal experience in Texas is not required.
No, I'm sorry, I see Gloria shaking her head on that. I don't think that is a profile item. I think if you want to say, who's had experience working with legislative, with the legislative branch or working with the governor who's had the experience, if you get too much of that Texas side of it, you can ask questions about what you know about Texas finance in the interview. And if they've studied up on it, maybe they've been in Texas, maybe they're black, I don't know where candidates. I just don't want to do anything that's going to limit our pool of outstanding candidates. And I've already talked to some people outside the state of Texas that would be folks that you'd want to talk to.
Okay, Gary, let me ask you this, because again, I gotta go goat and chicken. I don't want you to bring me a goat, I want you to bring me a chicken. So if they don't know about Texas funding, I kind of feel like that'd be wasting my time to talk to them, because that's a top tier. Like even if they don't know by the time they get here, I want to have telegraphed to them, you better know when we're talking to you. What I don't want to happen is for that person to sit in front of us or whoever was on that interview. I don't know how that works quite yet. Whoever's sitting there to be like, so Texas funding question, and they're like, I haven't done a lot of research about it, but I hear, dude, why are you here? Right? That's my next question. So at least if they come and say, I've been reading up on it, I'm studying this, that, and the other, I found this, that, and the other, but we have to be able to, that's our, like, if that's not number one, $858 million. They better understand it. It's a lot.
Yeah, and I appreciate your comment. I really do on that. But every place we go, you know, everyone thinks their funding is special, and there some of it is, some of it isn't. But candidates of this caliber are going to do their homework on it, and when we talk to them, we're going to not probably now after this conversation, you know, how much are you aware of Texas funding? And you probably better know something about it. But I'm not really, and I appreciate you don't want to waste your time if somebody doesn't know anything about Texas funding, but we certainly can, you know, prep some of those folks, you know, to make sure they know it. But a lot of them is going to tell us, I've already looked at Texas funding, I already know it, I'm familiar with it, and take it from there. And people deal with finances all the time from all across the country. So
Whereas you speak
it's
to
different
them,
in Illinois, different here.
Yeah, and my only point was, you don't want it to sound like if you're not from Texas, don't apply. That's kind of what I was, as you
that was
was
in the question.
doing
That
the
was in the thing.
rephrasing, it felt like you were saying,
takes it out.
if you're not from this state, don't even bother.
I have
And I
language that
want-
takes it
want to
out.
say that.
You want to try this one? Let's see, Gary and Gloria and colleagues. A leader with the skills necessary to understand and navigate a challenging public education funding landscape and to advocate effectively for Austin ISD with both local and statewide governments.
Yes,
Beautiful.
Yes.
Yes.
do it.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I think that's fine.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Look at you.
Yes,
I
I
like
appreciate
that.
Gary pushing back on that, because
Yes.
I do agree
Thank you.
that we are conducting a national search, and even saying the word Texas in the profile will signal to people that we're looking for a Texas candidate.
Thank you.
Okay,
Yeah.
Good.
awesome.
Okay, making progress.
I know. Okay, next one on special education.
I still need providing to implementing, managing. I don't know the word, but we don't need more programs. We need other stuff.
Yep. Other
Let's
thoughts?
see what people said.
I don't want to dilute from the importance of special education,
Education.
so I want to be real careful about that. And I don't
Yeah.
want to list every single program that we have.
Correct.
But I will say what I've said before, which is we are equally challenged in implementing another federally and stately mandated program that gives students rights for a high-quality education, which is our multilingual programs. And although it wasn't on the survey choices, it was listed in many, many of the open comments about the importance of dual language. So I would suggest that we add into quality programs those two, special education and
Multilingual.
multilingual education.
I'm good with that. And I think it goes beyond experience in providing quality programs.
Yes.
Like, what's a stronger, because I think it's about systems, it's about
Yeah.
like identifying, it's about implementation, it's about outcomes, it's all of that. But
Services. I see services and program a lot.
I don't know, like, for the purposes of a profile, what's,
How
what
about
makes sense?
has experience strengthening systems, creating a vision, and implementing quality programs for students who receive special education services instead of students in special education, students who receive special education services, and students who, what about multi-education? How would we make that parallel?
Could you just say in special education and multilingual? I mean, just add that
Yeah,
on the
I
end.
think this is one that we could keep real simple, honestly. I think as long as we say the words special education and multilingual education, I think that is enough for this. I personally don't think we have to go into
Okay.
all the different elements that they have to do. I think we just have to signal that those are two very important things for our district. So I think we can take out the students in and just say has experience or successful experience in special education and multilingual education. That's my personal opinion.
But
Simple.
how about creating and sustaining strong system? I think the word systems needs to be in there. Creating and sustaining strong systems in special education, multilingual education.
That's good. Yeah, that's better.
Okay.
And then we're taking out the students in altogether.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, good.
People don't like that.
Yeah.
Special education is not a place.
not a destination.
Okay, has experience creating and sustaining strong systems for special education and multilingual education.
Perfect.
Good.
Oh, God, you guys had a voting. Stop that.
Okay, next one.
Yeah, yes,
I'm good with it.
yes.
We're all good with one. There's one we didn't change, y'all.
Back to special education.
Yes,
Sorry.
Catherine.
Back to the systems and services.
Oh, thank
Oh,
you.
good.
Catherine.
Good.
Yeah, this is
That's
where it gets
better.
tricky having the two together because
Yeah.
multilingual education is a core instructional program more than a service.
That's all I was asking.
So-
Well, and then I guess we're providing in special education. I mean, parents with disabilities, they want their child to get an education, not to be like funneled into like a quote program
Yeah,
That
necessarily.
makes sense.
I think it's fine. I think
Yeah, we can add
I think it's fine.
services. Okay, and then the last one
Okay.
about retention.
And hold on,
Sorry.
I'm so sorry about number 10. I would really like to include something that says is dedicated and committed to a long tenure in Austin, embracing our district and community for who we are and what we value, and valuing our strong engagement as a strength and an asset for the district.
Yes, but sure.
Because I heard so much in there that was about they need to love us for who we are. We can shorten it, we can we could
Yes.
say embracing our district and community for who we are and what we value, period.
That's good.
You're taking out the long tenure? 'Cause
I'm
you're-
taking out, I just am adding like 8 words, 10 words. Embracing our district and community for who we are and what we value. I heard that so strongly. That you need to love us for who we
I
are.
don't know if that's really a profile thing. That's more of a statement. I mean, what we heard from you, as most of your board members, and we heard from, you saw those lists, is they want somebody that's committed to stay. And while I understand your words on that, I'm not sure that's a profile. That's more of a statement. And then your profile is what you're trying to say here. What we heard, Robert and I and Gloria, and it was on the survey comments as well, is we want someone who's going to stay here a while. We don't like turnover.
That was it. It was those last 4 words, long tenure in Austin, that came out over and over and over again.
We weren't saying to take
I
that
don't think we need
out.
to add any more words than what we've got here.
We were keeping long tenure in Austin. I heard, personally, I heard a lot of that, and I heard a lot of, you need to love us for who you are, not come here trying to change us. I mean, to me, that's, and that people need to know who we are. But I defer to all of my colleagues on that. I'm happy to take it out if we want to just leave it like it is. And I may be the only one who,
I think it's an important idea, but I'm okay with it not being part of the profile necessarily.
okay.
But that's one. That's not everybody.
I'm okay keeping it, because I think, I heard that a lot too.
This document is public facing, and I think it was Gary's concern at the very beginning that we want to still reflect what people said, right? What they felt. We know from reading through here what they're saying, so we tweaked a few words, right, so that the person would know. I think that's important. I don't know how we say it. What is it? What did you say so far? You said is dedicated and committed to Austin.
To a long tenure in Austin, comma, embracing our district and community for who we are and what we value.
Willing to embrace our district. I mean, so it's future. Not saying
Or-
they already have to do that. I don't know.
Ready to?
Ready
eager
maybe
to?
Ready to, eager to. I don't know.
Yeah, either of those.
Catherine, you have thoughts?
Yeah, I like that.
Which part?
I like what Lane came up with Candace's suggestions.
Okay, David, Andrew, Trustee Kaufman, Trustee Gonzalez.
I honestly liked it shorter, but if everybody is okay with the longer version, then I will be okay with that too.
And I'm okay either way.
Me too. It's not
Me
a hill
too.
I'm willing to die on.
Nope.
Because I think they'll get that when they walk in the door. I'm serious. It's just, I mean, and a lot of these questions, when you read them, it's the antithesis. This is reflection of past, right? This is trauma on paper. If you just read through it, it's, stay, not being here for 1 year, willing to, not use us for stepping stones. I mean, that's what's in here. So it can be short. I think
Okay.
the candidates will definitely, again,
So where are we landing?
short is fine.
So just keeping it a long
Okay.
tenure. Okay.
Catherine, you okay with that?
I'm okay. Yes.
Okay. Okay. As is. Thank you.
The last one, retention. Thoughts?
Pretty straightforward what we heard.
Can we, for that one, do we want to include the word morale, like staff morale and retention?
Yes.
Or are they too synonymous? Okay, morale.
No, they're,
Isn't that up here?
Yeah.
We had working conditions and stuff earlier.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Is
saying. I
it?
feel like we've already covered that.
I don't know, it's hard to remember.
Yes, I do.
Okay. I'm cool with that. I just wanted to bring that up. Okay,
I think
what do you think, David?
we can add more. I think it's fine to
Okay.
add morale to that.
Okay, can we add morale to that, morale and retention?
yeah.
The only thing that I feel like might be missing here is data. We talk about high student
really
achievement,
important.
but I think we are unique in that we really dig into the data.
I think that's really important.
So.
And 11 people said it. Data driven,
Yeah.
data first.
And I think we've
Data
made
driven.
big progress on that. I mean, I think that is one of the great things that's happened over the past couple of years is we're really leaning into that. We're disaggregating, we're talking openly about
So.
what we're not doing well. And I do think we need to capture
So I
that.
think something about data, but along with that, so when people see data, they think test, test, test,
Yes,
test.
exactly.
And that's not what we're about here. You hear that, candidates? Like, we're about assessment, as appropriate, but we're not about over-testing and making it all about test scores. So I think it's like that balance of being informed by data, and having ease, having expertise in slicing and dicing data in different ways, but also understanding that there's lots of ways to get to high achievement, not just through testing. So how might we capture that?
Do you want to put data back in the achievement question? Using data to, I don't know that gets to the art of the thought.
It could be something like somebody who has demonstrated expertise in using data to develop student-centered strategies or something,
For successful outcomes.
something like that. Because we do talk so much about data. It's like, okay, well, where are the outliers? You know, what are the high points? You know, what do we call them? The, I don't know.
Well, we
there's-
might be able to add it somewhere.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, put
early
it
on.
back up here.
I'm sorry, Gary, I didn't understand what you said. Do you mind repeating that?
I said if we roll it back, we might be able to add that with one of the ones we've got. I think you're right. It's probably not a bad thing to refer to data, somewhere, and there is.
Okay.
Number
So,
7.
Let me see.
Number 7.
which was that one, two? I should just number these.
Okay.
Well, it seems like if we're gonna use it, where it says understand the academic needs of all students relates closing the achievement gap, that was one where, I think that was one was kind of assigned to us or something like that. That we might be able to, work with Gloria and Robert putting something in there regarding not only the academic needs, but to close the student gap, but an opportunity gap. Maybe we work something in there with about understanding data or something.
Okay.
We have,
It looks like
Number
that's
7.
that's the place where it ought to go to, at least as it relates to student achievement.
we have in the draft language that I emailed, and Gary, I haven't sent it to you because I didn't have your email address. It didn't come up. Thank you. Perfect. It says, ensures and inspires a culture that believes in and achieves high academic standards for all students, uses data to address the achievement gap in alignment with our values, and supports strength across many programs in Austin ISD.
We just missed it. It was in there.
So we did put it in there.
Oh, we did say data.
Yeah, it says, uses data to address the achievement gap in alignment with our values.
Okay.
With our values, that's the important part.
I would ask, do you have in Austin ISD on many of them? Because I'm not sure you.
Oh, we can get rid of it. We can get rid of that.
Yeah, I mean, that's, who else are we talking about? So I think we might as well,
That's a good idea.
Yes.
do that. I think we ought to take a look at what you got there. If it's a little long, we might even separate the two. I don't know what's, I'm sort of like you folks, getting a little late here, so I'll have to take a look at it and see what we got there. But I appreciate you sending it to us.
Thank
Yes,
you.
absolutely.
Great.
Okay. Is there anything else was there something that Trustee Foster
I
had?
called all his stuff out.
Okay, good. Okay, going once, going twice. Anything else we need to add? Okay. All right. So I think we're good on that. So for process, it would be helpful to have this in a penultimate form to give to our community in advance of our meeting tomorrow night. Do you think that's possible?
Yes, I have all the changes. I've made a very small parental changes. I do
Yeah, just give it
Thank
to
you.
us, send it to us, we'll take a look at it and see if we can,
Thank you.
Great.
take a look at it.
Thank you. And then I have a request to Dr. Reach, since this is having such a quick turnaround, and let me ask the board, do we want the district to maybe tweet this out or put this out there on the district's social media,
As a draft, yeah.
the
As
draft?
a draft, I think that
And
would be
just
great.
bring some attention to the fact that we're having a hearing tomorrow itself, and they'll have, people also have an opportunity on Saturday.
But they have to do it on Friday.
But they have to call on Friday.
Call on Friday.
Thank you. And Jacob, thank you for the grammar fixes.
I do have one question. I'm sorry. And I can share my screen even if you see.
Thank you.
So it is on, in the sentence may be fine.
Microphone?
So it's item number 2. is the one that I'm looking at, and it's the very last sentence where it says that are important factors in the history and present of Austin ISD.
Isn't
And I'm
great.
just wondering, what?
Not great.
Yeah. So I was trying to think of some other words, history and current situation and
Just say past and present.
current reality, past and present. Yeah.
Past and present.
Just history and present, then it
Isn't great.
doesn't roll
I like past and present.
in the past and present of Austin ISD. Okay.
Thanks for
Thank you.
catching that.
Boy, this is the longest profile I've ever seen.
We are who we are.
Could have just put all this in chat.
Yeah, well, we gotta be able to, present this profile in a good recruiting way, so I'm just
Absolutely.
a little concerned. Yes, I'll take a look at it when we get there, but it's up to you folks on how we finally end up with the profile, but we've got to be able to make sense out of it too.
So I have a question. Do we want to have a side-by-side at our meeting tomorrow? Kind of the language we put together and something that GR recommends? Or what do we want to have tomorrow if GR is going to go and is concerned about the length? Do we want them to bring suggested tweaks to us tomorrow?
Yeah, maybe what they can, yeah, it would be good.
And present both?
Present both. How, in whatever format you think that makes sense. Track
make sense?
changes or whatever, comments inserted, whatever makes sense to you.
And all the trustees and all of Gary's team have this document now.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Okay, and Jacob, thank you for disaggregating the traits. Do all the trustees have this?
I apologize, I just made a comment.
Okay, that's cool. If you don't mind, do you mind sending this to them? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, now what? What's
Good
next?
night.
Can I just make a note of this, right? The
Yes.
statement. So this is a very long, detailed process with the board getting very detailed involved in this. And I think there will be people watching this, including potentially some candidates, but also people in the community, and possibly some of our consultants, wondering like, wow, this board is too deep in the weeds, and this is going to be this is an example of micromanaging or something. What I want to say is that this board is extremely committed to righting some wrongs of the past and really listening to our community. So I believe what we demonstrated tonight was a very active and committed effort to really truly make sure that we are listening to the community, not just through the filter of others, but that we are genuinely listening to every word that came out of our community and reading every word and doing our best to use what we were elected for, which is our knowledge and familiarity with the community, to make sure that we're getting that in a way that captures our community, and that we are a board that's extremely committed to working through a time of transition in our district where the role of the board is a little different right now than what a typical board is. So I just want to acknowledge that there may be a perception of micromanagement in this, but I view this as a strength of this board. That is committed to ensuring that the superintendent who does come to work with us is set up for success, because we've done our job of creating a detailed profile that truly represents our community. So I just want to say I'm proud of this work.
Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Kaufman.
Thank you.
All right, what's next for us?
Well, we're going to talk about the process, because we're getting bombarded about the process, particularly toward the end of the process. Now that hopefully that we will have a profile, so then the next thing is for us to talk about the process. I kind of just to recap the process from our perspective is that once the candidates have completed the application, materials and deadlines been met, that we have on a timeline that we certainly would share some of that information with the board, but it would be confidential. And then we have a scoring instrument, which is part of our contract, which is a forced choice kind of first glance where each board member will go ahead and circle their favorite person at the time. There's a comparison from candidate to candidate. We will show some videos of some candidates, and that's part of our process to get it narrowed down to 4 or 5, maybe people, 6 maybe. I don't know what the number will be, but then those folks would be interviewed, and we haven't decided whether they're going to be virtual or not. Most places, the first round is virtual, and then they bring back their top couple candidates, and that's where the discussion comes about with the candidates about what is that going to look like as far as the exposure of me as a candidate. What can I expect? And that often determines whether they're going to apply, whether their name's going to be out there. So that's something we really truly need to get tied up tonight if we can.
Thank you. So I think in terms of the openness of the search, which is a key part of this process, the board did discuss this. I think we have to, so I had mentioned this to Robert. I don't know if it got communicated to Gary and Gloria, but I think we're not ready to have that conversation tonight, but we will have a conclusion to that conversation. I think by the time, this weekend, Saturday, we're going to have a retreat. And so we're going to really be able to dig into that a little bit more. And in our public hearing, I certainly would invite the community to weigh in on that. I think that's one area where we just need a little bit more time before we feel like we're ready to come to a consensus on that.
Okay. Well, that's fine. I will tell you that, and I've said this a couple times, but it's something that I want to really kind of go on record, that the more exposure of the candidates is going to, drive your pool a little bit. So when you're thinking about that, and anybody tells you different, it's not telling you, what the atmosphere is out there with the shortage of candidates. So we really hope that you'll take in consideration some various options and to provide us an opportunity to recruit the very best. The other item that we had on the agenda, or at least my agenda, that was the salary itself. I think last time we talked about the way we would advertise a salary, that we would say the base salary is in the range of one number plus a comprehensive benefit package. The final salary will be negotiated based on the candidate's experience and meeting board criteria. And we suggested that number would be either $350,000 or $360,000 would be the base salary. And I think Robert's done quite a little bit of work there in the state of Texas. That salary for next year, not the current year, but next year, is in the ballpark, we think.
Thank you. And so, trustees, I know our board council also sent us an email today that had the list, had the salaries listed for the last few superintendents, so you'll have that as a reference as well. I know, Dr. Reach, you had shared, I think it was you that shared with us a list of superintendent salaries in Central Texas.
I created a summary for you both.
Oh, yay. Okay, we've got that. And so your recommendation then from GR is somewhere between 350 and 360? Okay.
Yeah, we would recommend really the 360 only because that kind of takes us over the 350 mark. And I just think for the size of the district, not only in Texas, I know you're looking at Texas, but I'm speaking from experience of other districts that we've done that would be in Council Grade City Schools, and I've done most of those, or at least half of them. And that would be the range that should be.
Okay. And is this something that we would vote on, Gary, or is this something that we just tell you, okay, yes, we're good with that, and we don't have to formally vote on that?
Yeah, I think it's, I think that's something you could just tell me yes, but primarily because it's from an advertisement, purpose. You're not really hiring somebody right now. You're giving us the authority to say, put this out there in your on your website and so forth. That the range, the base salary range, will be through 60 plus a comprehensive benefit package. You got the wiggle room a little up or down by saying, and that'll be on our website as well as our advertisement, that the final salary will be negotiated based on their experience and meeting board criteria.
Thank you. Trustees, do y'all have any thoughts, comments? 350 versus 360 or some other number?
This one to me seems like a place where people have a lot more experience than I feel like I have. That I think the experts know a whole lot more. The experts in recruiting and hiring know a whole lot more than I do on this. So I am happy with the 360. I'm comfortable with that, and appreciate the language about commensurate with experience. And my only question is comprehensive benefits package. Is there a shared understanding of what that means?
Yeah, it really is among the superintendents across the country, is that it's going to mean different things to different people, but depending on their own, family circumstances and that sort of thing. So that's why we put that second part in there, but the final salary be negotiated. But candidates first look at that base salary, and I think as long as we have that 360 there, it shows that we're going to be competitive, in the market. We're not trying to lowball it. We're not trying to highball it on the other side, to say 400, but we're saying 360 on the base. And the comprehensive benefit package, most of them are going to look at, whether that would be insurance. Some candidates may need it, some may not. That'll be just negotiated out. But that would be in addition to the base salary. That's what they understand.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah, I'm good with 360. Are we all okay with that?
I'm not really ready to agree to it yet. Just thinking so much about it's so easy to compensate like one person at the market rate when our teachers and staff on campuses aren't. It's hard for me to jump on this salary.
Okay.
Well, I understand that, but it's a kind of the superintendent is in a lot different places, and believe me, I got 4 brothers who are teachers, so I understand, from that standpoint. But it's the CEO who's running the operation. You sometimes don't pay the person that's president of the company the same as you got somebody out in the shop, so to speak. And I'm not, my dad worked in the shop, so I can actually say that. But I just think it's a different kind of position, and you're really going after a CEO type position, and we have to be in the market in order to attract somebody like that. The teacher salaries or other people's salaries, you'll have to address that, on your own. But I think we have an obligation to tell you what the market is.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, I think the disparity in pay and, teacher and staff salaries are, I appreciate Trustee Whitley too for reminding us of that and just being sensitive to that, at the same time recognizing, what the market will bear for us. So I think probably, I'm wondering, are the trustees okay if the board officers have like one more discussion on this? And Trustee Whitley Chu and any trustees who are not here tonight, we invite you to kind of reach out to us, to the board officers, and then we can, we can't do that. Oh, that's right.
We can
Oh, we
discuss
can't.
it further tomorrow and Saturday.
Yes, we can. Okay, so we could talk about it some more tomorrow when we have more trustees here. and give you guys a final decision on that. So I want to make sure all the trustees have had a chance to weigh in if they'd like to.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. I think if you go below that, that'll be a message that will not attract good candidates. So
Understood.
I appreciate you wanting to give it complete thought.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah,
All right. Is that it for tonight?
that's all I got.
Great. You've only been here with us for like 5 hours, so congrats.
Yep.
But we really appreciate your guidance as we go through this very interesting and important process. Thank you, Trustee Kaufman, for your statement. I think this is just a demonstration of how committed we are to finding the right match for the right time for our school district and our precious 71,000 students. And so, yes, thank you. All right, any final comments from anyone? Now's your time.
I just want to thank, again, our associates for joining us this evening and for all the work you did putting this together.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
All
Thank
right.
you.
We will now adjourn. So Secretary Boswell, do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Is there a second? Second. Okay, we're having a motion by Secretary Boswell to adjourn and a second by Trustee Kaufman. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. All right, the motion passes unanimously. The meeting is adjourned at 11:11 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you.